Hey yo, this is G Nitro. I tried to use the fibers filter to create a wood grain and then eventually wood planks, but the wooden texture which I made turned out to be really bad because I tried to draw in the dents inside of the wood but it didn't actually work. So instead I used the grid-like pattern and the fibers texture to create probably the fifth brick-like texture I made. Oh well, I can never have too many brick textures. Right now I'm using a different method to remove the harsh seams. In this method I basically duplicate the texture to another layer and then offsetting the texture, and then I erase the areas which have a very sudden edge to them so that the good texture is shown through. Instead what I used to do, which was go around with the healing brush tool for every single area of the harsh seam and then copy over a good area of texture. Because I just finished the gaps in between the wood which I was supposed to do, I'm now moving on to the oil effect tool. I then started looking at references to draw in the dents in the wood. These dents look absolutely terrible, because it's very hard to make high resolution dents in wood which don't look like they're just drawn in. I messed around with the blending options for a bit also. Then I tried copying over the texture to a larger document so that I can see how well it tiles, but it doesn't actually tile that well, because it obviously repeats in a really bad way. So I tried a different larger document again and made more variations to the wood texture with the dents. Again with the blending options. I made them all seamless and basically just moved all the wood textures around, and that still didn't actually work. I then just coloured in just to see how well it actually looks when coloured in, and it looks terrible. So at this point I gave up and just started making the brick texture from the texture which I made without the dents I drew in. I then started making the background for the bricks. So I then decided to make an individual texture. At this point I started using the bevel tool, but I didn't realize how many variations I could actually have, so it took a while to choose. And then I started just adding the shadows in. And then went on to the oil paint effect again. Right now I'm looking at references so that I can colour in the bricks properly. I wasn't really too sure about the lighting, so it took a while to think about how I can actually colour in the bricks. It took a very long time to think about what is the best way to colour in the bricks. So I eventually just made another layer and copied it over and then colored them in individually. Well, multiple layers, and coloring them individually so that I've got a variation of colors. Some light brown, some orange, and slightly salmon sort of colored bricks. For some reason I just didn't actually like the look of these bricks. So I then applied a crack effect. I messed around for the color options for quite a long time. I didn't realize how long I've actually wasted trying to color in the bricks properly. I probably need to look up a few tutorials on how to do bricks more realistically, because I, for some reason, didn't actually like the colors at all for these. I added pixelation thing to it so that it looks a lot more bumpy. I then added a few highlights to the top and left side to the bricks. Right now I'm just removing the sudden edge to the seam by just using the healing brush tool rather than using the newer method, which I found out because it doesn't quite work because the bricks are a set shape. It only mainly works if you've got a pure texture. Like this one, which I'm working on currently right now. I decided to spend a reasonable amount of time on this rock texture because I can use it for other textures in the future. Because I was happy with the texture of the bricks currently, I resized it and then used the paint effect tool. And at this point I actually used the newer method of blending in the seams because it seems to work, because the bricks seem to match up. Right now I'm burning in darker areas to the under rock texture. I'm just constantly switching back and forth between the brick texture on the above layer and the rock texture. I then duplicated the rock texture and then turned it around 90 degrees so it actually looks like metal. So I might actually use this metal texture in the future also, because it'll just save time doing it now. So essentially I've worked on 3 textures today: the rock texture, the above brick texture, and then I copied over the rock texture to a new layer, and then now I'm working on the metal texture, which I could use for another time. Right now I'm just changing the gradient map so that it looks more like stone bricks, because I might as well, since it's not actually taking me that long to create. it already looks so much better than the normal bricks in my opinion already. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe with notifications on and leave a like. And follow me on Twitter at gobdiam, because I really need more followers than 37.